Is Google going down? Probably not, but its parent, Alphabet, is being sued by the United States. Hi, I'm Rob the Accountant, and in this episode of the Rob Report, we're going to talk about Google. I believe Google is a monopoly. 1000% Google is a monopoly. And I think there's an easy way to solve this issue for the United States, for everybody, so everybody has a fair shot. And my view is if you have a search engine and, hey, it's got 25,000, it doesn't even have to be a lot. It should be on a subscriber count. Maybe it's 5,000, maybe it's 10,000. But as long as you have a search engine, it should be able to get default access to any operating system. And today, I'm going to go along and tell you why. And we'll start with the Wall Street Journal's, Bloomberg's page on U.S. sues Google to break up ad unit in heated antitrust fight. Now, I'm going to quickly just talk about this for a couple moments, but then we're going to focus on the bigger case that was filed in September regarding them being monopoly. And so the DOJ complaint calls for breakup of Google's ad tech business, and Google counters that digital ad market is competitive. So the U.S. Justice Department and 8 states sued Alphabet Inc., Google, calling for the breakup of the search giant ad technology business over alleged illegal monopolization of the digital advertising market. The lawsuit we have filed today seeks to hold Google to account for what we allege are its long-standing monopolies in digital advertising technologies that content creators use to sell ads and advertisers use to buy ads on the open internet. And said the Justice Department's antitrust chief Jonathan Cantor in a news conference Tuesday announcing the suit. New York, California, and Virginia were among the states that signed on the complaint, which filed in federal court in Virginia. Google said in the blog post that the lawsuit attempts to pick winners and losers in the highly competitive advertising technology sector, and the case largely duplicates an unfounded lawsuit by the Texas Attorney General, much which was recently dismissed by a federal court. And DOJ is doubling down on a flawed argument that would slow innovation, raise advertising fees, and make it harder for thousands of small businesses and publishers to grow. Now, I have a problem with that right there. That's bullshit. Google has never called me. They've never called any of my clients. In fact, you can authenticate across pretty much anything, your bank, your life insurance company, your auto insurance, your school, everything. But when you're a business and you try to throw up that Google page, Google actually snail mails you 5 things. So this is the lawsuit that the U.S. government is going to initiate on the antitrust fight with the ad unit. But they, back in September 8th of 2022, sued them for being monopoly. And it's that what we're going to talk about today. So let's jump into it. We're going to start with the Apple people, because the Apple people make me laugh sometimes. First of all, ever since 9/11, and with regard to 9/11, Google's being sued on another issue with terrorism and violence and how they push content that's harmful. So people can also go look at that. But with regards to Apple, everyone thinks their devices are so secure and everything's good. But Apple has sold out just like everybody else. And since 9/11, the U.S. government has listeners on all the phones. So, you know, if you are utilizing stuff as a VPN and, you know, nobody's really paying attention. Those are the marketers. But, you know, you start doing something really horrible during the VPN as an American, they're just going to get a warrant, and the VPN is going to give all the data of your search query. Even though they say it's not there, they're required under another law, which also affected, if people remember, Snapchat, which requires the data retention of anything going through the phone, because it's communications, and the communications are run by the federal government. The radio waves are out there. You can jump on them, but the government controls it. In fact, everybody's government controls it, and all the governments agree on how they're going to control it. So let's jump into an NPR News article for Google paid Apple billions. And this came out after the lawsuit, but you know, here are your culprits. There's your Google guy and there's your Apple guy, and they're just so nice because they want to control the world and they want everything to be their way. So we're just going to go through a couple things here. Buried on page 36 of the Justice Department lawsuit accuses Google of abusing its monopoly power in the remarkable figure $8 billion to $12 billion. All right, it paid Apple, right, for it to be the default status, and that's what I'm going to talk about today, because as a business owner, I think that's important. Default status on iPhones and all other Apple devices, right? So, you know, the reason why Apple can go out there and say, oh, we don't spy and use your fingerprint and iris and everything is because they're not spying. They gave all the spying ability to Google. So they, as a company and their servers and their algorithm, they don't need to program anything to spy on you because they want to sell equipment and devices. And so they sold it out. They sold everything out, because when you are the content search provider, as we're going to learn through the next 20, 30 minutes, you get amazing ability to just tailor anything you want to the end user. And we're going to show you today how you are the person that controls everything. Once again, us, the people, everything we control, but we're on the short end of the stick, right? So we don't make the billions of dollars. We don't make any of the millions of dollars. We're the ones putting in all the legwork, but everything rests on us. So Apple does not have its own search engine. And so what it did is it hammered out a multi-year deal, making Google the default search engine on all Apple products. Clinching default status was huge for Google. Why wouldn't it be? It would have been huge for Microsoft. It would have been huge for Ask Jeeves. It would have been huge for Yahoo or any of the other search providers out there that nobody really uses today, because the domination of Google is everywhere. So even Google says this is where the majority of commerce takes place, is on the search. And it's true. It's how you get there. So I'm not really going to focus a little bit more on the Apple argument. I just want to show people that, look at this. Apple, 1/5 of its $260 billion of income is due to the partnership with Google. Look at that, 1/5. 1/5 of it is spying. And now, so when they came out and said, oh, we're not going to let Google spy, we want default apps. You don't allow default apps. We're not going to let other people's default apps spy, so you can opt out of that. Again, they don't need to worry about it because they've already sold the position out to Google. So, and this is what the Justice Department says. This isn't classic collusion where two rivals agree to raise prices and cash each benefits, with John Newman, a former Justice Department antitrust lawyer who is now a law professor, blah, blah, blah. It's more like the monopolist agreeing with another company to split the rent. And that's true. They're both in it together, and the figures are just staggering. So let's just go through here. DuckDuckGo. I know they're making a big push today to get out there, but few people know them. There used to be CompUSA, Earthlink, AOL had its own search engines, and so I'm just going through the rest of this article to give credit to NPR. So you can find it and you can link it and go through it. But let's talk about the United States now. So the United States has sued Google in September, and what I'm gonna do is we're gonna blast through these pages really quick, and I want to just talk about the things that are relevant to me. The legality of it isn't so much a thing, because they're getting sued, and I truly believe they're a monopoly. And just like AT&T, the best way to diminish a monopoly's power is to allow more competitors to access that product and to be able to push their content out to you. So if tomorrow you want to use Ask Jeeves, you can use Ask Jeeves. If the next day you want to use Yahoo, you can use Yahoo. The ability is all Android and Apple devices should have all default search engines put on the start page. And then if you want to take them off, that's your choice, because you don't want to use those. But when you don't know that there's other ones out there, that becomes problematic, and Google banks on that. So this is public source. This is a legal case in public domain. Google can't get mad. They'll probably, my channel doesn't really, when you help people, doesn't really go too far anyways, because it's not catering to the masses. But let's run through this real quick. So Here we got the two devices that control really the whole market. Funny story, even in Russia, they have iPhones and Androids, but they hate us so much. So you got your two devices, that's the market. And, we're just going to blast through it. And here's the roadmap. You can see it. A lot of these things are not really relevant to me because the tech people are going to come in and they're going to try to make it all the way that they want to do it. And when you don't understand something and somebody has to explain it, really in depth, generally more often than not, they have the better side of the deal and you're not winning. So one of the things that I think is important, I always try to tell my kids, is Google wasn't even here. Look when they entered the market and look how far we were. And this is where we were. We had the CompUSA, we had the Prodigy, Netscape Navigator. When you talk about what is going on with Google and their monopoly, it's the same thing as Microsoft. They own the operating system, Windows, and they forced everyone, they put everything Internet Explorer on all the operating systems. They wouldn't even let Netscape Navigator, which I believe its current iteration is Mozilla, which is the only browser today that isn't a Chromium browser. They've all jumped into bed. And so the timeline, we'll get to this, but you look at your 1989, that's where your internet presence was there. People don't forget about Excite, Yahoo, Lycos, Alta Vista. People, Ask Jeeves, Google. And so let's keep going here. And what is general search? It just goes through all the things of saying what general search is. And, I think it would be the same thing as like when you look at the white pages or the yellow pages and you look at the index at the back and you say, hey, what page do I want to go to get, all the accountants? And, so you go to the A's, you see accountants and say, oh, that's on page 30, and you go there. So they're just going to define general search in terms of, they have to present all these things in trial. So you have to make it so the layman and the jury people can read through it. Organic results. I think that's one of the things I will touch about. If you, let's just say for like taxes, I'm an accountant and I say taxes. It's very difficult for me to go out there and compete on the general market with taxes. I'm not going to be able to dedicate enough dollars and cents to put myself at the top. So the way that I feel that you can win with organic results is make your name a single product. If you're an accountant, have a website for taxes and name that like GoTax or, theoretically DuckDuckGo Tax or whatever. And then that way the analytics are just on that website. And then if you offer payroll, have a payroll site over here. Or if you have consulting, have a consulting. Because the way that you can really manipulate the organic sites today is through having a unique name that nobody else has, and the unique name will pop up. So if you actually Google Kabbalah Tax and Accounting pretty much anywhere, we will generally pop up. But if you actually Google taxes in New York, then we're not going to be in that search. So 1 second here, I'm going to take a break. Okay, so that's my thoughts on organic results. That's the only way you're going to win. And we'll talk about it down here. But the government's just going to go into the, search timeline is another big thing. And these things are, again, just the outline. So anyone can go, we'll flip back over here. It's the United States Department of Justice website. And you can pull this. It's a PDF. So it's not like some special access that I have that other people don't. Anyone who wants to read through this whole thing can do so. And here we go on search providers, independent versus syndicated. I thought they were all independent personally, but I've learned a little bit through this process that there's a lot of different search capabilities, but there's really only a few at the top. You look at these search timelines, which I think is important. And we come back over here to 2003. Google's at 30% of the market share at that time. And in 2008, DuckDuckGo enters, right? Do you guys believe that? 2008. Think about that if you're DuckDuckGo. It's been 10, What do we got? 2 plus 3, 5. Yeah, about 15 years, and very few people know that you're even out there. That is because Google stops other people from knowing that they're out there. That's not fair. That's not a competitive market. That's not. I know we say we're a capitalistic society. It is crony capitalism, and sometimes it is, and we're going to see why it is and how that gets to be where that is. So this is just one more little quick timeline on the search things, and here are your general search providers. Nobody even knows about Brave. I think that's new. So you always had Microsoft, right? They had Internet Explorer, and then they kicked that once they couldn't, put their Internet Explorer on every Windows operating system without putting Netscape and all the other browsers. They conveniently seem to have backed out of the market. And then you have Google. And then syndicated are all the other people. Yahoo, I think, is still more of a news feed, so they are able to run the analytics off their news lines. Ask.com, I remember them, but I don't know much about them. DuckDuckGo, Ascend, these are just, nobody really knows about them because we don't ever have the platform. And if you remember back in early 2008, 2009, we had the toolbars, and everyone would have 20 toolbars with 20 different search engines. And what that allowed is if you're able to search from the computer, then that data goes back to the engine, and they're able to query with all their smart computer people, how to make the search better. And if you're dominating like all the devices and everything gives exclusively Google the search analysts, then how does anybody else get to put another car on the street, right? You can't. Well, you could, but then you have to learn everything from ground up. So they're going to just say what or not. These aren't. Yelp's not a general search. They don't. Yelp's a site that, whatever people want to think about it. Expedia, same thing. Facebook, nobody's going to say Facebook is a website or there's a search engine. They know a lot about you. Amazon, same thing. Wikipedia, these are not search engines. They're just information repositories in my view. And they're just going to go through, and I think this is where it's good. Is government says general search free. It's free, but it's really not. But what I want to get to is right here. And everything starts with the user interaction. Everything else comes later. Look at that, trillions of searches on Google. Now, if you're DuckDuckGo, you might just want 1% of the data on those searches so you can build your search engine. Google's search engine is really just like when you search anything, the first page is just, I don't even know how anyone gets through it anymore. It's really not useful in my view. I sometimes wish there were some other products out there, but again, I'm stuck like you. So Google is a mechanism for transferring knowledge from each user to those who follow it, right? So they get information from neighbor 1 to give to neighbor 4, get information from neighbor 2 to give to neighbor 6. But at the end of the day, all their information is coming from us, and we're not making any money. We don't get paid at all. When we used to and we'll get into it here with the communications with AT&T and Verizon, you had a contract and they would give you a new device for 2 years, right? And now we take a monthly fee on our devices plus the service. But here we go. Everything starts with the user right there. General search cannot work without the user. Without the user, nothing else happens. Without the web documents, crawling, indexing, ranking, nothing. It all has to start right here. You can put the documents out there, but if nobody's looking, then it's kind of useless, right? And this is where we go. It's not that hard. But what it is, it's hard when somebody has control of the market fully. So I'm not going to go through all this stuff because these aren't really my points. I'm not a tech guy. I'm bored with tech. I like tech to help me do my work. I like tech to do videos. I like, I think that's important too, but access points are just like when you go to Starbucks, or Dunkin' Donuts and you're jumping on their internet, you're generally jumping on a web page that's controlled by them for whoever they're paying for the service to. Sometimes it's just straight internet. Sometimes, like, I know that when you go to Panera Bread, it's you log onto their site and then you get internet through them. And I think that's where the VPN and those kind of things might be important. But outside of that, if you're not doing anything on the internet, there's no real reason to use a VPN. And then here's what we come to is default search engines. And the search engine that a distributor programs a search access point to automatically send queries to out of the box. So like when you first open your phone, Google's search is right there, and there's nobody else can get on it. It's just too expensive. Here it is. And it's that simple. Tyranny of the default. Look at that. And then they just go into how the general search engines. There's Android. And then Bing. But Windows doesn't use that anymore. Windows uses Chromia. And then this is what I think we should get. Is that we all sit there and, it's going to be a pain in the butt. You might have 10 or 15 search apps, but why not? Why not try a few of them? Maybe some of them have a little bit difference of things. In America, we never have believed that one person or one company controlling everything leads to innovation. So if you want true innovation, you want the next leap forward, then all the people who are doing search, all the people who are programming, the open source, the GNU, just give them a little bit of the access. I don't think anyone's saying, hey, Google, give us your whole source code. But Google at the same time, they've taken the opportunity to steal, right? They've got their own calculator program, which is to compete with Excel. They've got their own Word program or sheets to compete with Word. So, they're out there, and they claim that their documents, their software can open Microsoft. I feel like that's a theft, but Open Office was doing that for years. And so that's where you have the ability to have a free or a user based platform where everybody's contributing, to the development of making something better, or just a single program that has pure monetization of it. And I think when you look at the numbers, you're going to realize that it's just better for this to be consolidated into multiple people's hands. And here's the Google thing, the power of defaults, because you got one way into there, right? And what I would say is you got this maze, so you have one door here, Ask Jeeves, DuckDuckGo, Ask.com, Google.com, Bing.com, Yahoo.com, Brave.com, right? And so there's what I'm saying is the phone should be programmed with all the doors open. This would solve the government's problem. If Google just agreed to this, but they're going to litigate and they're going to go through the battle like Microsoft, because they think they can beat the government. And generally people who live in the United States understand that when the federal government puts the time and resources, you can't borrow Google. You can't tax the taxpayer, right? So, sooner or later, you're going to have to come to the table. Why spend all that money that your lawyers are telling you to spend on, defending this? It's the same thing with Section 230. This idea that Google and the internet providers can't be sued. It's just ridiculous. They're making money and controlling the direction of the content. So either let it be a full library like the dictionary or a phone book, where I just open it and I search the way I want to search, or drop your opposition to being sued for content that's harmful and destroys other people's lives, which again is not something that Google is doing. But if you promote it on your platform, like the YouTube terrorist video, That's a real thing. There's another country that does this, Saudi Arabia. When it comes to the 9/11 victims, they claim sovereign immunity, but then when they want to sue the PGA, they're not a sovereign state. I don't think that you should get to flip the script. Play by the same rules everybody else plays by, or don't play by the rules at all. And if you don't play by the rules at all, then we'll find you and come get you. So you should just play by the rules. Same thing with the power defaults. Look, the government understands this. This is why when you check out everywhere, the default tip standard is there, because the view is an asshole jumps over the tip thing. But if I'm spending $5 on something and nobody actually provided a service to me, I'm not giving no freaking tip. What the hell is this? It's like every grocery store, Walmart, Target, all these places I go into, and they're like, would you like to make a donation? Would you like to make a donation? Well, how about you donate to me? I shop here every day. Could I at least get a coupon for 20% off or something one time? Okay, I digress. So, and here we go. They're just showing you the power of all the phones, right? And we used to get all these for free, people, right? And here, look at this. He says he's sorry, but one has to wonder now, was he sorry, or was he finding a way to manipulate the users of Apple so that they could solidify their deals with Google? Because the way I look at it is, if Apple can make one of the best lenses in the world, one of the best phones in the world, best image quality, it's just simple. So what? They're just dumb when it comes to maps? Well, the mapping system is, you just need the API for the GPSs that you're going to use, depending on who owns the GPS satellites that you want to use, right? So they're suddenly stupid when it comes to their maps? Probably not. And they just hoard you out to Google. And it's just probably what happened. And there it is. It's just going to tell you right there. All that crap about, device protection. See, nobody has device protection, guys. Nobody. It's right there. Look at there. That's still the best iPhone, is the 2007 one. And again, DuckDuckGo. I feel so bad for them. I wish they would market their search engine a little bit better. Sometimes I feel like they're like saying, I should just come over there if I'm doing something wrong. Now, I don't do nothing wrong. I don't want to use your search engine. And here we go. Apple has been asked, why are GSA and Chrome not pre-installed? We don't install any third-party apps, never. But that's just really not true, because the search query is Google's. And because it's not quote quote third party, it's a distinction. Well, I don't have a problem with it. It's Android. I mean, that's like Microsoft asking Microsoft. Microsoft knew what they were getting into. They figured this back out in the 90s with the Internet Explorer and Netscape. Netscape was great. I loved it. But if you own Android, which Google does, I don't have it. I don't think you should have to be forced in that regard to promote other people's search engine, but maybe there's like a head count on Android devices. So on Apple devices, it's all search engines that can get through the door. Maybe on Google's it's 5, or the top 10 search engines or something of that nature. But I think it's something very easy Google could settle to, and they would make this thing go away. And we just got some more timeline events here. And they show you here. I think this is important because Google, these are parts of the phone and how they're made in the licensing agreements. And, because the software is now controlled by Apple and Google, they determine what goes on the phone, which I feel is a little bit outside of the FCC's guidelines relative to communications, because it used to be telecommunications companies, AT&T and T-Mobile and Verizon, that controlled the software on your phone. If people remember the old texting, you had the flip phones that went this way, and you did this little text box with the numbers and stuff, and then we had the alphanumeric pagers and things, and then boom, it just went it went to Google and BlackBerry. BlackBerry was still using the telecommunications of Verizon, AT&T. They were just dropping a server module, I believe, on the back door. So you still had the underlying phone that was AT&T, but you paid for the security protocol of BlackBerry when it first came out, which was cool, which is why not everybody had them in the beginning. And then here you go. They go through all the licenses. I think it's important that people just understand we're not all going to become experts. I'm not an expert on this stuff. I don't need to be an expert on when, I spend a lot of money on advertising, and the internet has never done anything for me in terms of making money for me. And then I've got everybody else, like the radio and other things that have been helpful. Home phones today are actually the cable companies. And so the cable companies, through the means of having data connection, they have the ability to see everything you're watching, and so they want to sell it as well. Again, once again, we're the whores of society. Somewhere along the line, we all believed that we had rights in this, or that somewhere along the line that we mattered, and we do matter. We matter the most, but nobody wants to pay us for that. And here you go again. You either do it the way they want you to do it, and you have a compatible Android device, or you don't. And I think there's a few Chinese makers out there that have non-compatible Android devices. I've never had one. And look at this. Look at how much they have embedded. See, so this is where I have a problem. So Google, once you turn into a mobile service, then my view is Google search apps should drop, Chrome should drop, Google Play should drop. You can keep your maps on the GMS. YouTube should drop, Gmail should drop, and proprietary APIs should drop. This aspect, okay, and just so you're aware, is I have a internet company, a WISP, called Night Owl Broadband Internet, and we're out there. So we have tried to buy some FCC bandwidth lines, and they're called frequencies, and I think we'll finally have ours within the. I think we're going to be at the 80 megahertz frequency. I'm unsure, but once you go into this realm, this GMS, it's in the FCC all the way, and AT&T isn't allowed to have all this stuff on their phone, and Verizon isn't allowed to have all this stuff, and T-Mobile and Sprint. So this is one of those things where, because Google just keeps jumping between the fields, one minute they're Section 230, where they're a distributor of media content, right? So that protects us from lawsuits from the internet. But on the other side, we're a mobile service communications provider. Well, that should open liability back up to you. And I think that this is where the government's had it with them on everything. So they're going to hit them on everything. The lawsuit today is on ads. This one is on their monopoly power. I'm more concerned on the monopoly power because it stops everybody else from having innovation. I have no problem with the Google Play Store. It's the same thing with the Apple Store. I think there has to be some type of conversation regarding the cost for launching on the Play Store or the Apple Store. I know that Fortnite, I think one of them is suing Apple because they're jumping the Apple Store, and you should be able to do that. I think if you have your own app, I can release it on my own website, and it's got an Android API on it. I don't see why I should have to use Google as a distributor to drop my app. That's just we had a client long time ago. They're no longer, I don't believe, Snag Mobile, and I would assume that they went out of business because of it is just hard to get in there. And we're talking this is 10 or 15 years ago. Snag Mobile, you can go out and Google them. So it's just different when to get on the device, you have to go through the gate, and that's not really true. Like, so when you take a car and you say gas, you can get gas anywhere, right? You can get a radio put in anywhere. You can get a muffler put anywhere, tires. And that's an engine. And so it's not like Chevy or Toyota owns the car, and then you have to go buy Chevy tires or Chevy alternators. It's not really how the world works, but this is how the world works for Google. It's time for it to end. We're just going into more things that how they embed, and again, I am just not even a messenger. I'm just rehashing the government's position, and their position's not wrong. Whether the allegations of them being a monopoly are proven in court might be a totally different thing. My view is they're a monopoly. Anyone who talks in their house, anyone who talks in their car, and then suddenly they have an email or they have some other marketing piece about what they were just talking about, whether it was relevant to them or not. That's the funny thing. If you don't have hemorrhoids and somebody says hemorrhoids, and then all of a sudden you got hemorrhoids, I never had hemorrhoids, but we all know what we're talking about on this, right? Everybody has this. This is not something new. We all just say, we just pass it off. Oh, they're just listening. It's not right, people. This is more how they break it in. There's so much. It's like music. When you're a creator on YouTube, you have all the licensing regarding the music, the singing, the tones of it. Everyone's got to get their piece, to keep you from actually going out and finding something better, or actually finding a way to compete. What if you're a great programmer and you want to bring the newest and better search engine? It's nearly impossible for you to come to market today. You just can't do it. So, and then here we go again. What does it all come down to? Right there. That's what it's always about. Excuse me. Is money, your money. So you're paying for your phone service, which is a telecommunication thing, with your providers, and they have to revenue share with Google and Apple. Well, why don't we kick out Google and Apple? They weren't here prior to 2004. Cell phones work just fine, by the way, albeit a little bit bigger. But people should be able to opt out of these things and just get what they need. And here's where he says it. And Google pays revenue share on a specific device type if it gets exclusivity on default out of the box, right? And here's their CEO. That's my understanding. Hey, again, with the dumb answers. Well, it's your policy, idiot. That's my understanding. They always complain about Trump, but this is how corporate America operates all the time. You can't bring a policy forward, be the guy that says, go get the revenue. And then when you're called on the revenue, be like, well, I'm unsure. It could be. But, saying you don't recall something in court is the legal definition of whether you know what you're saying you can recall or you can't recall. By saying you can't recall, the questioning stops, because if you can't recall something, then there's no more reasoning. You could be lying 1,000% about it, but you can't say you're lying in court. You just say, I can't recall. So is recall lying? Is it just you don't know? But it's just one of the more things where we use words above people, and I think we should do more things to bring words down to help everybody, so people can just make the decisions right in front of them and make a choice if they want to use this product in this way, if they want this product to have all their information. We talk about so many rights as our government, but when's the last time your U.S. government or your state government really, even got in your business? They don't. They're not there. And that's how Google should be. They should be not there. I don't know about Mozilla. It might be the default, but you could change it. It is on all these other ones. I use Opera and Mozilla personally. Here's some more timelines of the events. And then they go into the advertising. And this is something that is important, because if you look at it, It's just crazy. You can't win. Now, I like radio because radio is best for local markets. If you're selling something locally, your local radio station for $3 to $5 grand advertising campaign, you're going to get business. You $3 to $5 grand. I've been on a couple of those campaigns. I've run one or two myself, and yeah, you don't get shit. You're better off sending out that and postcards to local people. It's just so hard because as soon as it's like TV too, as soon as you are an auto sales person and you put a TV commercial up, then the sales rep from the television station, they go to all the other auto people right in your neighborhood and they say, well, Jim Bob is doing a slot. Why don't you do a slot? And then when they do is they pack all the slots. They don't even give you exclusivity. So they go, your car commercial, your competitor's car commercial, and then his competitors, and they scam everybody. But at least on radio, that's not as prevalent because when you're entering the market, you're probably not going to have everybody at that specific moment who is trying to enter the market right when you're entering. If you're a new pizza shop, all the pizza shops have already been there. They've already used their coupons. They're already doing what they need to do. But when you start, you need that initial marketing push. And you can just see where it is and who controls it. And they're just going through where everything is. And I think we're going to get through it all. And they're just explaining where it is. When you have so many, like, just to bounce back through this, when you have that word, increase engagement, here's a better one: awareness, engagement, favorability, and then product. See, this is why you can't win. Because algorithm 1, algorithm 2, algorithm 3, algorithm 4. You have to know when you're putting your commercial out there, your piece, every single component of this. And so if you are trying to create awareness, then you got to go deal with the awareness algorithm. And then you think, well, I just spent all my money and time on awareness. It should just run over an engagement. No, it's not the way it works. And you got to go out and create a new brand engagement for that. And people who say you don't need to do this, well, just look at your local market. Look, one of the things that always gets me with the thing is the politicians is like right before a local election. You know, I'm watching a gaming channel of Asmongold or somebody else, and then suddenly my local politician pops on. I go, the amount of money that it takes to put that amount of targeting and to get that little snippet where I usually use a blocker on anyways, it's just crazy. So it's just your money's spent elsewhere. There's other ways that you should be spending your money because you're just dumping it with these guys. It's very difficult to penetrate. See? So when you're purchasing, you want search ads. Google's smart because they got all the programmers trying to monetize it. And it just is so... There you go. So you need a display ad when you want to create awareness. You need a social ad for brand product. Retargeted ad for brand product favorability, and search ad for purchase. Guys, we're getting hosed. This is why eggs are $5. That's why everything's expensive, because we're not working as a group and boycotting as a group. That's what somebody needs to do. I'm just really not good with the community activation. That's not my style. I'm more on the want to lead people this way or lead people that way, and that could be community, but no, I just, we all have Androids and iPhones. If people reach out to their local like your state legislators, and you start making them aware that you just want to be able to have choice, people will get on board. And I don't think we need to go out through all this. So and again, if you come back to right here, Apple, the most valuable company in the world, derives up to 1/5 of its 260 billion of worldwide income due to its partnership with Google, which commands more than 90% of global online searches. Guys, come on. Is it just me? If I got 1% of that, not even a half, give me 10 basis points, which is 10 points of 1%. There's 100 points in 1%. Give me 10 basis points of that. And you could help so many people retire. You could help so many people grow their businesses. So many people could hire more people. And, you know, we're going to come up and close this out here. And it's very much like Uber, right? So the cab market didn't want to expand. It didn't want to develop. And Uber did. But what did Uber really do? It destroyed thousands of cab companies. It put thousands of drivers out of business. For what? For one software platform to make all the money. They screw their drivers. All those cabbies at least they were paying taxes and self-employment. Some of them were wage holders. They were W-2 paychecks. These were mom and pop companies. Medallions in cities all over the place were a revenue source for the cities and their governments. And it all went into one vendor's hands. And now they get 30%. They short all the drivers. Right, they call them all independent contractors. They pay no FICA into the system that anybody needs for Social Security or Medicare while you do. Folks, what we need to do is just work slowly. None of these things are going to change. But the next time you want to buy a $1,400 Apple, maybe you go with a different device the next time. Or maybe when you get your Google phone, you go through the terms of services and you shut off everything. Or you go to your Gmail account and you turn off all the things that are there now that Google makes it really hard for you to turn off. But Google is a monopoly. They're probably never going anywhere. And what would be the proper course of action is that they'd be forced to open up their platform along with Apple to allow any search provider to have a default door on your purchase, right? So we'll come back and we'll close up here with this. Right here, folks. Search default. This, my folks, this right here, this is how Google solves all of its problems. It avoids lots of litigation. Now on the ad searches, that's a totally different thing. The new case coming out that nobody really has the filing on. They're anti-competitive. They're a monopoly. But some of the ad revenue and some of the monetization on the search will be depleted or diminished if you just allow more doors on the phones. Ask Jeeves, Ask.com, Microsoft Bing, DuckDuckGo, Google can still have its center position, Brave, and any other search engine that meets the bare minimum threshold for whatever the OEM device managers require. I don't know what that is. I don't know if it's 5,000, 10,000 people. I don't think it should be an awful lot. I mean, it should be maybe 1,000. Who cares? Because it's not like the device manager has to do anything. It's the vendor's responsibility to provide the app and to put its source code for the device maker to be able to put it on the device, or Google or Apple, one of them. Somewhere along the line, I think it'd probably be the software vendor, Google or Apple would be required to, you just communicate with them, and then they would have on every device a standard operating of, here's all the search engines, start with that. And that's it. I don't think there's any other problem. I love YouTube. You watch advertising all day long. And I love Mozilla Firefox. I think they're going to be the only browser going forward that you're still able to have actually a true blocker on. And, you know, whether you implement that, that's purely on you. I am Rob the Accountant. Thanks for watching this. Watching Google as a monopoly and how they can fix it. And you know, I hope you join us for another podcast. If you have any questions or you have any comments, please put them in the comments, and I'll see. Maybe if I'll respond to a few of them, maybe we'll launch off another one. But this is going to conclude this episode of the Rob Report. Thanks for watching, folks, and have a great day.